Okay, as we end this term in music theory first year, we have our comprehensive final, but we also have what I call core fundamental tests, where we recheck fundamental things like spelling chords or scales or that sort of thing, and students have to do them comprehensively in a given time limit. It helps them stay sharp. It makes sure that their fundamentals are good. And so they're currently doing this as a review. It's worksheets. Is let's spell all the major 7 chords that exist in major and minor keys, and then it goes on to all the dominant chords, all the minor 7 chords, and then all the half diminished and fully diminished 7 chords as well. This is a training sort of thing. It's just practice. It's not the same as being able to just say, oh, D sharp diminished 7 is D sharp, F sharp, A, C off the top of your head, but it gets us there, and it helps us do this without writing out letters all the time. It helps us get fast at this. It promotes several things. One is that when you have to write, for instance, A major 7, you have to pick the correct note from each one, and so it reinforces to you all the time that A chords with a 7th have an A, C, and E, and a G in them in some configuration, and B's have B, D, F, A's and things, and so that becomes truly second nature to you. And then it reinforces and reaffirms the idea that we don't think of each chord spelling as unique. We think of them as modifying pre-existing sets of notes. See, how can I explain this differently? For instance, there's a piece of music in one of the books at my piano where you end up with this chord that looks like, see where I'll find it. Looks like this. At the end of a large run, you've got this. And maybe even another one on top of that, like that, right? And when you get there, you're supposed to be able to play that. Well, you can read each one of these notes and then figure out where they are on the keyboard and then play them. But what we do is we recognize that as a shape, and we recognize that as a shape as well. This is a first inversion triad. So we grab it with our left hand like that, and this here is 4th stack, which you can sort of space as well. So, and you just look at where it starts on, this note and that note right there, and then the rest of the hand makes that shape like that, right? We group this information together, in this case in the form of shapes, and from a theory point of view we can say this is a first inversion, there's my root, this is a D minor triad, and then this is 4ths, so it's G, C, and F, right? And these are extensions on that as well. Well, we want to do the same thing with our chords here, and so the way we learn them, and this is review for my students, but if you're just watching this and you're going, how do I memorize all these chords? Start by grouping them together. So the first thing you need to know is that A chords are A, C, E, A triad, and then the 7th is a G, right? And the next thing you want to know is that that's a minor triad and that's a minor 7th. And that means that this is 3 half steps and 4 half steps, and this is 10 half steps right there. That's not important as much as it is to know how they compare to other ones. So for instance, if I have a major 7th chord, right, then I'm going to have a root and a 3rd and a 5th, oops, 3rd, getting ahead of myself, a 5th and a 7th. And that's 4 half steps, and that's 3 half steps, and that's another 4 half steps right there. If I have a dominant 7 chord, right, then I have a root, and I have a 3rd, and I have a 5th, and I have a 7th, and this is 4 plus 3 half steps, but this is only 3 because this is a lowered 7th, right? And then my minor 7th, I have a root, let's get this on there, and a 3rd, and a 5th, and a 7th. And this is 3 half steps, 4 half steps. In other words, this 3rd has sunk down, right? And this is 3 half steps there. So the difference between this one to that one is you lower the 7th. And the distance between that one, or difference between this one and this one, is you lower the 3rd, right? When we have, that's a minor 7th. Then when we have our half diminished 7th, we have root, third, fifth, seventh, and this becomes 3 plus 3. So now the fifth gets lowered, right? The seventh stays the same, and we have a diminished seventh. You take this same thing here. I'm not going to draw it all out, but the difference is between these two chords is that my seventh got shrunk down again. So if we're going in this direction, you're raising, right? And if you're going in this direction, you're lowering, okay? Then you just have to know which one is which. So for instance, A chords are minor sevenths. If we measure them out, right, you're going to find that it's got 3 half steps from A to C and 4 half steps to the fifth, right there. That's a minor triad. And then my minor seventh is there, like that, okay? So when we go back to here, and it says, hey, let's spell ourselves an A major 7. And this is written out so it goes fast for the student, so you don't get bogged down in remembering, and reinforces things. But you go like this. Well, major 7 chords have a major triad and a major seventh. In other words, to get from here to here, we're going to have to raise the third and we're going to have to raise the seventh, right? So I go here and I go A, raise the third, E, raise the seventh, like that, right? And then if you learn that not only is A a minor seventh when it's just the white notes on its own, but so is D, and so is E. In other words, if you have no sharps or flats on them, they are minor seventh chords, right? They start here, and we want to do all these. You can do that same system to the other ones. So skip the D, skip the D, right? Let's take a look right here at D. We know that it's a minor seventh, so we're going to have to go and raise the third and raise the seventh. D, F sharp, A, C sharp. This isn't going to make you great at playing them on the piano, and unless you practice also saying this out loud, it's not going to make you as good as you could be at just reciting them, but it gets you in this mindset of I take these notes and I raise this one and I raise that one, right? My E is also a minor 7 chord with no sharps or flats, and so if I were to go straight across here and do nothing, it would be minor. So I go like this and I raise the third, G sharp, B, and D sharp, like that, okay? All right, and then let's look at some of these other ones. Well, you might learn also that C chords on their own, no sharps and flats, and F chords are major sevenths. They're already there. We don't have to do anything. We can literally just go across and go C, E, G, B, like that. And we can grab the F chord here and go F, A, C, E, just like that, okay? You're gonna find that your G chord, G is dominant 7 to begin with. How do we get from here to major 7th? Well, we raise the 7th back up, and that's it. So here, if I were to go straight across G, B, D, and F, that would be dominant, but then raise that back up and it becomes major, right? Okay. So, and B is half diminished. B is over here already. So that means we're going to have to go and raise the 5th, then raise the 3rd, and raise the 7th, which sounds like a lot, but that just means that here on this, we're going to go, okay, we started on B, then we raise the 3rd and the 5th and the 7th off of what would have been normal, and that's your major 7 chord right there. Again, it's kinesthetically easy to do. You need to get good at saying this out loud if you want to think of them like that. And you should also go over to piano and go like B, D, F, A, right? And then got to raise this to D sharp, F sharp, A sharp. So there's different levels of application, but this gets us from, I can't remember how to spell these things, to, oh, I actually have a system for remembering them all. And you might say, well, what about these other things right here? Like when we have a flat or a sharp in front of the notes. Well, it's no different. You just have to see where you're starting on. So let's go back to C and F. We know that they were major 7 chords to begin with, right? In other words, if I take an F chord right here and I go F and I just stay here along this line, it's all major 7th already, right? Well, let's go to F flat major 7, and it does exist. It's the 4 chord in the key of C flat major, right? Well, that means that I don't start on F, right? I start on F flat. And since I know that it's major 7 already, I just keep everything on the same level. F flat, A flat, C flat, E flat. And you know, if you're a pianist and you're going, no, wait, isn't that E? Yeah, but you can still train yourself. You go F flat, right? A flat, C flat, and then E flat, right? Okay. And you just do the same thing, making modifications to them all. Remember that D was already a minor 7, so we had to raise the 3rd and we had to raise the 7th. So if we want a D flat major 7, we start on D flat and then we raise this up to F and we go to A flat. We're on this row right here, and then we raise the 7th. So the pattern stays the same. And usually what happens when a student has trouble like spelling, they can do a D major 7, but they can't do a D flat major 7. It's because they get stuck in interval things instead of thinking about the pattern. D chords, whether they're D or D flat or whatever, if you go along and keep all the accidentals the same, are inherently minor 7s. They have minor tries and minor 7ths. Changing a minor 7 chord to a major 7, you raise the 7th and you raise the 3rd, right? So whatever you have, you just add a sharp or subtract a flat. So instead of going D flat, F flat, A flat, C flat, you go D flat, no flat F, right? A flat, C. And that's what you do for all of them, okay? I'm going to keep it short there, but you would just, because we can go through all this, but the only thing I'm also going to suggest is that you go by class of chords if you're practicing this first, which means that maybe we just do all the A's and all the D's and all the E's, because they're all minor 7s to begin with, and we say this is how we change it to a major 7. Then we get to a dominant, we do, you know, these ones again, anyone that's A or a D or an E, because here we'd say for this one, dominance, you have to raise the 3rd, but not the 7th because it's already there. And so when we get over to like D7, you do the same thing. You say, well, it's going to be DFAC, but you're going to raise the 3rd, and that's it, right? So keep those in cycles and do all the C and Fs because they're major 7s. So you're going to modify them a certain way, and then all the G's and then all the B's, right? I'll show you how that works. Even when it's a horrible, nasty, awful chord, like C diminished 7, okay? And then we'll be done right here. Well, remember that if I went like this, hypothetically, I'm just going to do this in blue because we don't, you know, if we did this there and there and there and there and there, right? That would be a C double sharp major 7 because the C chords, if you keep all the accidentals the same or none at all, are inherently major 7s. How do I get from major 7 all the way to diminished 7? Well, I have to go through all of these steps. So I'm going to lower the 7th, lower the 5th, lower the 7th, lower the 3rd, lower the 5th, and then I'm going to, am I off camera? I'm off camera, sorry. Lower the 7th, lower the 3rd, lower the 5th, lower the 7th. So I'm going to lower everything that's not the root. 7th 2 times and 3rd and 5th, okay? So I'm going to lower everything and then the 7th again. So let's do this then. I'm here, right? And I say, well, this is C double sharp, so I start there. Then I got to lower the 3rd, then I got to lower the 5th, and then I got to lower the 7th twice, right? And if you practice that in your head, you can go, well, C double sharp, 1 less sharp for the 5th and the 3rd, right? So C double sharp, E sharp, G sharp, and 1 less even than that for the 7th because you got to lower that twice, B, okay? That's how it would work. I suppose it would be really good if I gave you a cleaner table of this to look at. Maybe I'll just make a summary right now for you on the side, okay? Just before we end here, because I don't have it pre-printed. If I have a major 7 chord, and a dominant 7 chord, and a minor 7 chord, and a half diminished 7 chord, and a diminished 7 chord, to get from 1 to here, I'm going to lower the 7th, or raise the 7th if I'm going in the opposite direction, right? And from here to here, I'm going to lower, I guess I could put them in either direction, the 3rd to get to the minor, and from the minor to there, I'm going to lower the 5th. And then to get from the half diminished to the 7th, I'm going to lower the 7th again. right? So you just memorize that. And then if you have to go across more than one category, you can. Remember that these are C chords and F chords with sevenths. Not C7, but C with sevenths, right? Okay. So F, A, C, E, C, E, G, B. This is only a G chord right there, G, B, D, F. This is A chords, A, C, E, G. D chords, D, F, A, C. And E chords, E, G, B, D. B is the half diminished chord right there, B, D, F, A. And this doesn't have one. I should put NA as opposed to half diminished sign. Nothing starts there. So whatever you're asked to do, figure out where you start and then just make those modifications, raising or lowering, depending on which direction you're going. Okay. And what else? Just do a few at a time. You don't have to memorize all of these, but if you memorize, let's say we're studying for the final and you find you're no good at maybe B chords, well, just work on the B chords. Or you're no good at diminished chords, just work on the diminished chords. But don't try and tackle all of them at one time. If you get there in a week, if you get there in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, once you have them solid in a method, you can recollect that method and then you can get those back. All right, that's it.